Netflix's Skeletor's origin story is beyond horrifying. His own mother destroys him. If there was a cartoon villain Hall of Fame, a definite addition would be Skeletor, the cackling villain from He-Man who is witty, strong, full of lore, and yet is incapable of winning against Adam. Skeletor has seen a lot of character evolution. In the earlier comics, he was an interdimensional warlord looking for new dimensions to conquer, and then the plot of Keldor was introduced, making him the uncle of his nemesis. There's something so tragic about Keldor, the son of Miro, who was the eldest and heir apparent but was robbed of the throne for being half Gar. But he is about to get more tragic in his latest origin story. If you don't know about it yet, He-Man's latest iteration, Netflix's Masters of the Universe, created by Kevin Smith, ran for 2 seasons. A 4-issue mini-comic series, Masters of the Universe Revolution, was released as a precursor to the show, written by Tim Sheridan, Ted Biaselli, and Rob David, with art by Keith Champagne, Daniel HDR, and Brad Simpson. The story explores the relationships between Keldor and Hordak, Keldor and his parents, and the nasty betrayal that would set the course for his life. Let's get into it. Know my fate. Before time and space even existed, the universe was just a small glowing ember in the cold void. All magic was united as one. Then 2 of the fires of magic grew out of control and began battling each other for dominance. Those 2 fires were Zord, the spirit of nurturing and protection, who took the form of a falcon, and Ka, the spirit of passion and carnality, who took the form of a green snake. They were locked in an immense battle so fierce that it could rip apart the fabric of reality, space, and time. To bring balance, a third power, the spirit of mutability and mayhem, arose. This power battled them both and brought stagnation. It would continue to persist, but Keldor's mother, Zhrron, tells him that he has the power to disrupt it, with havoc in his hand. The forces of Hordak, led by Tarangella, Succubug, Dragstor, Modalok, and Grizzlor, attack Anwat Gar. Grizzlor is not sure how attacking a tiny island like Anwat Gar would get them any closer to conquering Eternia, and he would ask the question to his master too, but he is nowhere to be found. Hordak is on the dark side of the island, fearlessly entering the dark abode of the Sisters of Fortune, who are also the guardians of Ares, weavers of shadow, and the keepers of power untold. The 3 women in purple robes welcome him, and Hordak knows that they are also seers who can see what's to come. He demands to know his future and asks them to name their price. One of the sisters explains that his debt will not be to them but to the future itself. The sisters are not just vessels to the will of fate, but ministers. Hordak had an infinite number of roads in front of him, but once the sisters told him his future, that is the only path he will have, and that is the price the future demands. Hordak has had no success in getting closer to what he wants, so he is ready to risk losing the uncountable possibilities in exchange for certainty. Meanwhile, Hordak's forces are met with a hooded, powerful sorcerer who uses his magic to subdue them. They're all shocked as they believed magic was forbidden on Anwat Gar, and we see a flashback of the hooded magician. He is none other than Keldor, the half-brother of King Randor and the son of King Miro, and Zhrron, a Gar woman. The first time Keldor had seen magic was at the hands of his mother, as she floated a small ball. Zhrron had told him that he could learn it too with practice and concentration. Keldor's teachers had told him that magic is bad, but Zhrron taught him that magic is bad and good, because magic is everything, but his teachers did not know that. Zhrron had added that their elders can only take him so far, and it was up to him to exceed them, as that is the natural order. His father understood the power of magic even though he could not practice it, and that is why Zhrron believed Keldor would one day exceed him. Since that day, Keldor had practiced regularly, and his mother kept a close eye on him through their telepathic connection. She egged him on to learn more, telling him that he's destined for much more than simple magic tricks that would only help him survive. This was all towards helping him fulfill a prophecy that said he would seize Grayskull. But who told this prophecy? That was a question his mother did not want to answer. The Weavers tell Hordak that his destiny is intertwined with Keldor. That's not what Hordak wanted to hear, as he is kind of a lone wolf, someone who believes his fate is his and his alone. The Weavers tell him that many destinies are intertwined with one another, and for a while Hordak and Keldor would walk parallel paths. Hordak is intrigued and asks them to repeat the prophecy. The prophecy speaks about an unborn heir of Grayskull who would ground the ascendant bat, which is no doubt referring to Hordak, and destroy him. Hordak wants to know if there's any way to keep this heir from being born, but the course of the future is set as they previously warned, and nothing can stop it. Hordak is insistent though, and one of the sisters gives him the answer: Havoc, a kind of ancient magic. If Hordak wielded it, he could defeat Grayskull's heir and fate itself. The sister who spoke up kneels to the mystic pink pool and, despite warnings from her sisters, pulls out the Staff of Havoc, which, in the right hands, could destroy reality itself and become the greatest force in the universe. Hordak reaches out to the staff, but the Weaver knocks him down. She tells him that it is lethal to a being like Hordak who has no connection to magic. The only way he can use it successfully is by employing someone who is born in the fires of Havoc and becoming his master. Hordak understands what the Weaver wants from him and leaves. Meanwhile, Keldor uses his magic to destroy Hordak's troops, who were ordered to leave no survivors. Hordak arrives with a sudden explosion that knocks Keldor off his feet, and addressing him by his name, asks him to stop. As Hordak stretches his hand to help him up, Keldor is surprised he knows his name. Hordak is impressed by the troopers Keldor took out and asks Grizzlor to put down his weapon, which was aimed at Keldor. Hordak knows about Keldor too well. He had been an outcast his whole life. A prince without a throne, a warrior at peacetime, a sorcerer in a world of science, wasting his life away while dreaming about the man he knows he is capable of becoming. Hordak promises him everything that he is worthy of but never got, and more if he chooses to join him, the supreme commander of the Horde fleet and next in line to the Emperor's throne. His mother's voice echoes in Keldor's mind that this is the moment that he had been waiting for, the call of destiny. Hordak offers him the chance to hold the power in his hands to seize control of his own fate if he chooses to work under Hordak, and as an answer, Keldor kneels down in front of him. Not ready yet. Zhrron is a thriving world and a technological marvel. It is an entire civilization built on the interior of a sphere that was disguised as a star. This disguise is so perfect that no wannabe invader had even given it a second glance, allowing it to prosper and grow for eons. One of the technological feathers in their cap is the advanced technology based on crystalline semiconductors, operating at a more superior level than any known civilization. Hordak's forces are sent to check them out. Modulok notes that Queen Zal and her tiny army will be caught surprised and will have no idea they are working on a plan of attack. Soon, Zhrron would be theirs. Keldor has a problem with the phrasing and reminds Modulok that Zhrron will be Hordak's. Modulok quickly corrects himself when Succubug tells them that they are approaching the Zhrron. Keldor asks Grizzlor to arm the torpedoes in order that confuses Tarangella and Mantenna, as Hordak's strict instructions were to gather intelligence only and not to engage. Hordak, however, had stayed behind and given Keldor full authority of the mission, a privilege that Keldor fully intended to abuse. He convinces those aboard that Hordak would be happy of adding Zhrron to his kingdom and would reward them richly for their courage. Grizzlor does not need much convincing though, as while Keldor was talking, he had already fired the torpedoes. While this is happening, Hordak finds himself in a memory. He is in a domed room, and the only things in the room are a wooden cradle and a burning fire. He's not alone though, as a voice speaks out. Hordak demands whoever is there to show themselves, but the voice tells him that since they are in his dream, it is up to him to find the voice. The voice acknowledges that Hordak does not like riddles or games thanks to the time he spent in that very room, dealing with his brother Hordak Prime, who excelled in both, but the voice is thankful for that as it led Hordak's acquaintance with the other voice. That helps Hordak realize it is none other than the Weaver who helped him, and he grabs her, demanding to know whether her sisters are hidden in the walls. The Weaver reminds him once again that he is in the middle of his nightly restoration cycle, and hence there are no walls. If you thought that would ease Hordak's tension, you're wrong. Without releasing the grip on her hooded robe, he asks her why she invaded his sleeping mind. The Weaver's sisters had not been happy that she helped Hordak, but she saw their fear as a lack of ambition. She wanted to meet him secretly as her sisters were powerful, and until their fears were quieted, they would pose a threat to them. Hordak believes their business is done, as the Weaver had already pointed him to Keldor, but she tells him there are more things he needs to know about Keldor if he wants him to clear Hordak's path to power. Hordak understands and takes her to a dream of his private chambers. After his conversation with her, Hordak heads to Zhrron, where his forces have subdued the army completely. Keldor welcomes him to the newest, brightest jewel of the Horde Empire, and as a token of congratulations, presents Queen Zal in chains. As soon as Keldor removes the sack covering her face, Zal promises to escape and kill every single one of them, and spits at Hordak. Hordak just tells his forces to put her in the brig and to cut her tongue out if she uses it again. Keldor informs his master that Succubug and Terangela are setting up a provisional Horde government as they speak. Hordak has not forgotten that his initial orders were to just collect intelligence. He reminds Keldor of the same, and before he can come up with an excuse, asks him to spar with him. Once Keldor gathers his gear, he meets Hordak in a dark place where the sky is a blackish purple and the trees are leafless. Keldor doesn't understand how they ended up there, and Hordak explains that they are in the Fright Zone, a darkness and dread that defies dimension. Keldor doesn't want to train anymore as he thinks he has learned all that he can from Hordak and wants to try out the magic that Hordak claimed would unlock his full potential. He demands the magic, but Hordak trips him with his staff and tells his acolyte that he could have easily killed him. Keldor does not get the point of the sparring sessions as Hordak is too strong for him. Hordak tells him that the only way he can get stronger is by sparring with him, as magic is only a cheat and does not make him strong. He adds that magic won't make Keldor his father's son. Keldor had never told Hordak about his father, but Hordak knows everything about him. He tells him that he had been in the same place Keldor is right now, and he had learnt that it was better to be feared than loved. Hordak wants Keldor to remember that the Horde was built on technology, and one who masters it masters the universe. Angered by his dismissive words, Keldor attacks him, but Hordak defends himself and throws him away with his shield. He tells him that King Miro is a fool, and if Keldor kept chasing his title, he would become a fool too. He wants Keldor to have patience, as Hordak is offering much more than what he wants. Having been hit where it hurts, Keldor wonders out loud if he should approach Horde Prime, as he would perhaps understand Keldor better and would not deny him the legacy like Hordak. Suddenly, Grizzlor warns Hordak that Zal has escaped after killing several guards, and Hordak leaves to deal with it, but not before telling Keldor that his training is complete and that he will have the power as promised. In his parting words, Hordak tells him that Hordak is not Miro and Keldor is not Horde Prime. Later, Hordak invites Keldor to his chambers, where he shows him a mnemonic cradle, a device built by the Rovidian Order. The Rovidians were innovators in engrammatic neurography and excelled in recording memories, as they had a super short memory span. The mnemonic cradle had the ability to pull out the memories of any organic being and record them. Hordak had seized the machine when he had destroyed the entire race. Keldor tries to apologize for his earlier comment about Horde Prime, but Hordak interrupts him and gives him the head device to see through someone else's memories. Hordak shows him the memories of his previous acolyte, who had been too ambitious and went behind his back to Horde Prime. Despite Horde Prime having fun torturing his brother, he did not appreciate anybody's disloyalty towards him. Horde Prime had tortured him day in and day out. As a kind of mercy, Hordak had taken away his identity and most of his memories. Now he is just someone who doesn't know why he is being put through hell every day. As the memories unfold, Keldor's eyes begin to water, and he throws the device away, unable to see anymore. As Keldor writhes on the floor in pain, Hordak reminds him that he works for him and him alone. Keldor stumbles out and heads straight to his bed. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself on a cliff where he spent most of his youth. His mother's voice tells him that Hordak trusts him, and he will be the key to give him everything he deserves, but Keldor must remember that he is the most powerful being in the universe. Meanwhile, Hordak meets with the Weaver in his dreams that he is the Chosen One, not Keldor. In both dreams, they are told to wield the other like a weapon, and impressed upon the fact that they need each other. As the voices merge, we realize that it is the same woman. Keldor's mother is the Weaver who has been helping Hordak. A mother's heart. Keldor in his meditative state and Hordak in his sleep are both visited by the Weaver, or Keldor's mother. She convinces Keldor that his legacy and destiny waits for him in Eternos. She promises Hordak that he will own the secrets of Eternia. Both of them ask her why she is helping them, and she answers that once they achieve their destiny, they will help her seize her destiny. In her 2 timing, the Weaver accidentally says that their 3 paths will converge, which brings up alarm bells in Hordak's mind, and he wakes up. He asks his computer to locate Keldor, but before the computer can pinpoint the location, he realizes where Keldor is. Keldor had previously asked Hordak to give him the Havoc Staff. Hordak had asked him who told him the prophecy, but he had not answered and simply asked him why he cared, as he did not keep any faith in divination or magic. He just wanted the Havoc Staff and Hordak's permission to eliminate King Miro so that he could rule Eternia for the glory of Hordak. Hordak had pointed out the loophole in his plan. Nobody would appoint the murderer of their king as the next king. Keldor had insisted, laying his faith in the power of Havoc. Hordak had had enough of his disobedient acolyte and forbade him from setting foot on Eternia, as the Eternia he left might not be the Eternia he will find now. Despite the strict order, Keldor is in Eternia, and he is shocked to see a statue made in the memory of King Miro, who was lost at sea. Hearing people proclaim, "Long live the king," Keldor hides behind the statue to see who the new king is. Randor arrives and is welcomed into the palace by his pregnant queen. Meanwhile, Hordak searches for an entrance to the Fright Zone in Zhrron and realizes it has been closed by the Weaver. Keldor returns home to tell his mother of what he saw in Eternia and finds the same entrance in his mother's house. When he walks in, he sees his father Miro, weak and chained to the wall. His mother appears and reminds Keldor that he is the man who deserted him and deprived him of the throne. So his mother asks him to kill him. When Keldor hesitates, she pushes him, reminding him of all the lies his father told him. When he refuses to strike, Miro grows a lot of muscle suddenly and breaks his chains to attack Keldor. He begins landing punch after punch, and Keldor, not wanting to hurt his father, uses his magic to restrain him. His mother eggs him, urging him not to show any mercy. Tired of her words, Keldor used his magic to choke her and demanded to know why his parents were behaving so oddly. He drops them both and rushes outside, where he finds the dead bodies of the other 2 Weavers. His mother follows him and tells him that they are in the Fright Zone. Keldor asks her why she killed the Weavers, and his mother tells him that she had to, as they interpret the fates in a way that was not favorable to Keldor. Keldor asks her if the man he met was really his father. Instead of answering the question, she tells him that though he was the son of the king was not his family. He was just an obstacle in Keldor's path to the throne of Eternia, and once Keldor is king, his mother intended to take her place as the Empress of the Horde. That is why she had led Hordak to Keldor. Her plans disgust Keldor, and he asks her if he was always just a weapon in her hands, and whether she had ever loved him. Suddenly, King Randor bursts in and lunges at Keldor. Keldor revs up his magic, and his mother excitedly asks him to kill him so his path is cleared. Keldor catches up to his mother's antics and realizes neither Miro nor Randor are actually there. They are all just illusions. Randor asks him to resist and tells him his mother manipulated both of them. As the enchantment wears off, Keldor sees that Randor is actually Hordak. Hordak has the Staff of Havoc, and Zhrron pulls it towards her with magic, but Keldor uses his magic to pull it towards him. Hordak shoots Zhrron with his weapon and she disintegrates, leaving only her locket behind. Keldor is shocked and picks up the locket. Hordak's attempt to console him is to remind him that she was a power-hungry succubus. Keldor is angry at Hordak too for keeping the Havoc Staff from him, but Hordak tells him that he needed tempering. By now, he too had realized the importance of magic. Keldor's magic, coupled with the technology of Hordak, would make sure that both of them would rule over the entire universe. So he asks Keldor to take the staff and be reborn as the ravenous maw of Havoc. Keldor grips the staff, and as the magic runs through him, his face is burnt off by green flames. Skeletor is born. We see a memory of Keldor. Keldor and Randor, still kids, run around trying to give a cat a bath. Meanwhile, Miro asks the palace historian, Isaac, to find out the secrets of Grayskull so they can be torn down and destroyed. Isaac does not want the magic to be destroyed, as people still revere Castle Grayskull, but Miro has been impressed by the prowess of technology and does not want whatever magical horror is inside Grayskull to haunt Eternia. The present Keldor witnesses it and is confused how he got there, but a voice assures him that it is just a memory and asks him to enjoy the ride. The next memory shows Miro clutching infant Keldor to his chest and declaring him his heir in front of his sick father, King Rannan, and his mother, Helena. Rhiannon is disgusted that a half-breed would be betrothed and threatens to give Miro's sister Amelia the throne. Keldor, with the help of the voice, realizes he is the baby. Next, Keldor sees Rhiannon's funeral, where Isaac asks him to send Keldor to his mother, as she would surely welcome him, and reminds him that if a centuries-old law regarding who should inherit the throne is broken, his lifespan will be shortened. Miro tells Isaac that Keldor is a prince, and his place is in the palace. He also threatens to turn his new library into the palace dungeon if he ever spoke ill of Keldor. Another memory shows Randor and Keldor being tutored. The tutor tells them about their ancestor Hero and teaches them sword fighting. Miro happens to see the lessons and asks the teacher why he did not stick to arithmetic and geography as instructed. Miro thinks sword fighting lessons are useless, as princes in Eternia did not wield swords. The tutor, clearly forgetting his place and having no idea about a father's love for his kids, tells the king that since Keldor is a half-Gar and thus will not rule, he thought Keldor ought to learn sword fighting. As a result, Miro had him imprisoned. The memories start to go away from him and fade. He demands the voice to show himself and a hooded figure appears. The next memory is Keldor's happiest one and happened right before his saddest. The hooded figure warns him that that too would disappear with the rest. Keldor does not want it to go and holds on desperately, while the hooded figure comments that all good things must come to an end. Keldor is actually put inside the mnemonic cradle, having every single one of his memories erased and replaced. Modulok senses the resistance, but Hordak simply asks him to turn the power of the device up a notch. Another memory flashes by of his mother telling him that he was sent back to Anwat Gar because Miro was ashamed. She hands him a locket, the same one she left behind after being hit by Hordak's weapon, and tells him that she would never be ashamed of him. Keldor sees something new, a memory that he does not remember, of people with skulls being enslaved, of having a wife with a skull and a child with her. Keldor remembers his mother and the Havoc staff and tries his best to remember, but fails on how the two are connected. He realizes that Hordak is stealing his memories, but can't remember the name of the device. Modulok senses his attempt to get back his memories and reports to Hordak, who orders to increase the power of the device again. The hooded figure, who has a skull-like face, asks Keldor why he wants to so desperately hold on to his past. King Miro had big plans for him and abandoned him to keep the peace of his kingdom. His mom had big plans for him too, but wanted to use him for her selfish needs. And finally, Hordak has big plans for him too. Keldor had been a pawn for too long, and the only plan he had was to become the king of Eternia. The hooded figure tells him that despite this tragic past, there is still greatness in him, and the only way to get to that is to destroy the one man blocking him, himself. With that, Skeletor lunged at Keldor and began choking him. In his final moments, Keldor asks the hooded figure who he is, and the hooded figure shows himself. He's Keldor, but his face turned to a skull. With that, Keldor is erased completely, and when he wakes up in Hordak's chamber, Hordak gives him a new name, Skeletor. All Skeletor remembers is that he has a wife and child in the realm of Apollios. He is an acolyte of Hordak, and Hordak saved him. Hordak confirms that he did save Skeletor and gives him his next mission. He tells him that there is a child of prophecy in the palace of Eternia. Every door in the palace had been enchanted by the sorceress to not open to anyone who did not share the blood of King Grayskull. Skeletor is confused as to how he will be allowed in, but Hordak tells him that no door will remain closed to him as he wields the Staff of Havoc. He orders Skeletor to get into the nursery and open a portal to Hordak. Skeletor follows all the instructions except the last and opens a portal outside the nursery as he wants to know why they are kidnapping a child in the middle of the night. A great question that should have been asked when Hordak gave him the quest, but hey, better late than never. In his rush to explain, Hordak accidentally calls Skeletor Keldor, but corrects himself. He tells him that the child is prophesied to stop him from gaining control over Eternos and threatens to banish Skeletor to Despondos. Fearful of being separated from his own child, who is non-existent by the way, Skeletor opens the door. 28 cycles later, Despara watches the memories through the mnemonic cradle and its head device. She is eager to know everything about the royal family of Eternia and does not stop till she knows everything. This is the origin story of Skeletor. I loved the art, it had a cinematic appeal to it. The colors used are very engrossing and definitely help capture the reader's attention. The story itself made me feel a bit sorry for Skeletor, and I have to question, if he had all his memories, would he still be as vengeful as he is now? The miniseries also set up the story of Despara, or She-Ra, well. What did you think about Masters of the Universe Revolution? Let me know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, tap that thumbs up and subscribe to our wonderful channel. I'll soon be back with more awesome stuff, but until then, goodbye.